Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome in, welcome all. Welcome to the Zoutvac Confrontational Semifinals, as well as Zoutvac 1v1 Confrontational Semifinals, as we will be jumping into the action here momentarily. As you notice, we're doing things a little bit differently here. A little bit differently this time around, as we have a little extra support, and I'm very interested to see how the how this works out here, because it's the production quality, it's going up, and I love to see it. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I want to say hello to everyone who's stopping by so early, as we are just getting started here. We are doing the cat herding things, so expect a little bit of time before we actually jump into the first match, and hopefully we can get it done rapidly. Alright, I do want to say shout out to Zoutvac, and I believe Banjwa, who are also live on Twitch right now, casting these very same matches, but in the, well, various languages. It's German. It's German. It's what it is. Zoutvac is currently live, as well as Banjwa. And, well, I'm here doing the English cast. So if you guys are looking for these matches in the English language, well, you're at the right place. Alright. Cat herding and forts, I know, right? Okay, so remember, you guys could use the bracket command to see the current scores for everyone anytime you wish. However, I do want to say that we are running a delay here, so that if you are watching the bracket closely, you may end up getting spoiled a few minutes before you see it. All right. It looks like the other casters are bantering with each other. I will not be joining them on Discord, as they are bantering back and forth in German, a language that I do not speak. So we will be hanging out and waiting. I'm okay with this. Alright, looks like we'll be doing... Are you jumping into the first match? Yeah! I'm into it. Here we have the bracket. You're from Germany? Hello there, Helix. Imagine not speaking German. I know, right? Now, I can read some of it. Sometimes I can generally get the idea behind a sentence if it's spoken very slowly to me. But I'm not... I would not be confident to say that I properly understand German. German totally sounds like a foreign language to you, unless it's at the hard base. Oh no. Alright. So as you guys remember from last week, we had the quarterfinals, where today we have Poolboy, Bensi, Gold, and Eaton will be facing off against each other in best of fives. We are going to have quite a lot of high quality matches here. What would you say is the next most commonly used weapon after cannons, since those seem to be the go-to pick? I'm going to say snipers. Snipers are probably the most common, if not machine guns. I'm going to read into that a little and say a proper heavy weapon meant for ending the game. Cannons are pretty high on that list. Howitzers and fire beams, I think, fall under that same category for you. Fire beams, while they tend to not deal the damage and end the game, are also consistently present because they're so good at supporting everything else. You do generally see a very wide range of weaponry used in game. Like, you don't. This isn't a situation where, oh, you have one weapon that's used as the meta weapon and that's it. You regularly see cannons and lasers of every kind. Here we have the map vetoes. Abyss has been banned. Buzzsaws are also very consistently present. Yes, they are. You know, I could almost consider buzzsaws to be heavy weapons with the amount of damage they deal, but they are not meant for really breaking bases so much as punishing with spam, really. Hello there, Kurt. Welcome in. And nukes, of course. Yeah, the nukes aren't exactly super common. Like, they happen. They're not uncommon. They happen. But they're not the go-to weapon. They're more of a surprise, I got you kind of weapon. And, well, that gets thrown out there every so often, but still. It doesn't put it in the common weapons category, so much as the uncommon weapons category. Effective, but uncommon. Time enough for beers. I have a party with friends to go to later. I made some handcrafted alcohol gummies. Not like Jello shots, like it's almost gummy bear kind of gummy, but made entirely out of wine. I'm excited. I'm very excited. Handcrafted alcohol, you got excited. Homebrew is fun. Well, I don't homebrew the alcohol, no. Der Benzinpreisvergleiche. There's Pool Boy. Getting it all set up. We have the maps selected. Elephants, Hang Time, Hill Fort, Balls, and Moorings will be the maps. Why not rum flavor? I've tried doing other flavors. Doesn't end as well. It's like I've done vodka ones. Those weren't great. Like other things. Like, it's the wine in and of itself has the flavor, which makes it tasty. So otherwise, like things like rum and other whiskeys and most of the harder liquors don't have much flavor on their own. So turning them into gummy, you just get almost flavorless meh. Compared to wine, it actually has a flavor. It's it's basically grape juice. It just, it has a kick. But funny story, if you put it in a gummy like that, it almost completely hides the kick. Like, you do not taste the alcohol at all. And it takes a bit longer to kick in, so like you have gummies and then half an hour later it starts kicking in and it's like, surprise, you've been having wine because they're 12% alcohol by volume, and then surprise, you get slammed pretty hard if you're not careful. Friends consider them to be very dangerous. Alright, it says we're going in game in 5 minutes. I do not have the ability to affect the screen right now because I am watching a spectator POV. As I am not in the lobby myself. So this is what I get to see. So we are going to I think they're chatting about what's going on in chat right now between the competitors. It's confusing perspective a little bit. Start match. I believe we should be starting at about 4 minutes, given the way the cat herding is going. I still see Zaltzbach himself, one of the observers, on Team 1, which means the lobby is not properly configured just yet. So we'll, still working on getting the lobby all up and running. Alright, what I'm going to do is do a quick little adjustment here. For reasons. Don't mind me. Okay, hopefully that isn't too quiet for you guys. I did turn the music down a little bit. Dun-dun-dun-dun. You had a friend that made jello shots that taste like gummy bears. You think you had like 8 before they told you they were like 25% alcohol. It was a rough night. Oh yeah, no, they're insidious. Friends describe them as dangerous, and they're tasty but dangerous. Like they sneak up on you. They do not taste like alcohol at all. Mine are made out of wine rather than something like vodka is a common one to put in there, but it gets people real hard. Ladies and gentlemen, we're off to the races. Round 1. And off we go. So here we have on the left-hand side. Oh boy. I'm honestly not sure who is who. Whoa. Oh dear. Okay. So we do have our 2 players. We have Pool Boy and his opponent here. I do actually like the split screen. Here. This is something that we've tried to do before. However, this requires you to have 2 computers in order to do it, which is not something I can do alone because, you know, surprise. It requires two computers to do it. So what we've done here is have 2 spectators actually doing 2 different camera views, which is actually quite nice because that means that we can focus on the individual bases in more detail, which is very, very nice. I like that. I like it a lot. It's just going to take a little bit of practice, I think, for the cameraman, the spectator cameraman, to actually get accustomed to it. Well, otherwise you get these really zoomed out appearances all the time, which is fine. It just, you miss a lot. I know that's a complaint that a lot of you guys have mentioned over time, missing important moments because, well, we can't be looking everywhere at once. Here, we can look everywhere at once, or at least all of the important places at once, which is quite nice. Of course, they always have the option to zoom out and adjust the cameras as such. It's going to be interesting because I'm not in control of the camera, so I can't do the camera work. But either way, we are off to the races here. As you guys can see, like these builds are practically mirrored. It's almost 1-to-1 for everything, as we have Pool Boy and Bensi here going on. And well, they're doing Armadillo things because this is an Armadillo mirror match. Both players are using the Armadillo commander. And they're doing what you would expect from Armadillo. They're going up to heavy weapons, playing defensively, and they're getting an upgrade center so they can get more eco and play even more defensively, as both players are interested in going to the late game. And as such, they're kind of doing the thing where they have a pseudo truce, like an 8-minute no rush kind of deal here. So I expect to not see any significant damage with each other for at least a couple minutes. So that's going to be interesting to me, to see how this actually turns out. This map is not large. It is a little bit difficult to get sense of scale on the map because, well, we're so zoomed in here. But this map is not particularly large, and this makes it, well, a good way of a good reason to do things like cannons and heavy weapons without even attempting to do the early game phase. For reference, I believe it is Pool Boy on the right side and Bensi on the left. In fact, let me go ahead and put this in here. live this. Oh, okay, what's going on with that? Why you like this? Appear to be a bit of technical difficulties with the spectator mod, which is unfortunate, but I guess altogether not terribly surprising. This is a largely untested and new system, so they've got a little bit of kink to work out of it, yeah? Let's see. Are those standard cannons or double Howies is the question. Those are standard cannons. No 20 millimeters standard cannons. They're just going in slightly different positions. Pool Boy on the right is putting them almost directly above his core, while Benzi on the left is putting them directly above those mines. I'm partial toward the mine position here because they're more directly attached to the ground, whereas the position on the right, while very stable, can technically be disconnected and dropped into the rest of the base, which is not an ideal situation to be in for anyone, but here we are. And also unsurprising, you know, we've gone up to 3 cannons before anyone's even attempted to fire at each other. The player on the left, despite their cannon being completed, well, at this point, both players have a completed cannon. Neither has the ability to fire at each other because they just haven't opened their doors yet. Like, they still have wooden hard, they're still hard walled off. It's the name Benzi or Benzine. The name is Benzine Price for Kreischer. It gets concatenated, or not concatenated. Oh my god. It gets truncated various ways every single time. Looks like there's been a drop shot, a cannon going. Got the angle on that. How do you get a drop shot from below? Do you have any idea how difficult that is? Holy smokes. Oh boy. Well, here we are. The cannons shall sing. It's way past what we consider cannon o'clock, but I guess when everyone's going for upgrades first and agreeing to not shoot at each other, well, when third cannons come online is when the cannons start firing. So we're gonna be. This match is likely to take a fair few minutes, just because everyone is so beefed up and thick and chunky that it's gonna take a while for anything to get done here. It's gonna take, definitely gonna take a while for anything to get done here. So let's strap in and get ready to go. As you guys can see, the map here with the full zoom out, we get to see a proper distance between them. 10-minute no rush. Actually, though, like it was about 8.5 minutes before they even began throwing any kind of lead at each other. Split screen is over. I do like the split screen. I think with a little bit more practice, it could be very good. So it looks like we have triple standard cannon coming out from Pool Boy on the right. Benzine threw in a 20 millimeter. It did get destroyed almost immediately, but nevertheless. New overlay. It is all an overlay for. It is all of an overlay. It is not in-game UI. Everything you're seeing here is overlay. which is actually kind of cool. You like the split screen to see early build orders and more regular view when shots start flying. I would like to see it slide back. I would like to see it go back and forth between them, as especially when we get the larger bases going. It's hard to keep track of all the details. Now, the reason why a lot of the time the reason why I'm zooming in when I'm doing the camera view myself is so I can see what's going on and then comment about it. We're going to be here a couple minutes. So cannons, definitely the best choice here, because cannons deal massive amounts of, well, economic damage. Just the, well, there's a door snipe, and there you have it. Major damage has been dealt. Door snipes, typically seen more off of lasers and cannons, are quite good at dealing massive amounts of damage. When it comes to matches like this, despite everyone having upgraded economy and increased ability to repair things, at the end of the day, when you get 4+ cannons, there's no economy in the game which is going to sustain that. So it comes down to how many cannons can you send flying at your opponent. How many cannon rounds can you send flying at your opponent? It's just, you just got to keep firing and try to deal as much damage as you can, as consistently as you can. And eventually you'll whittle them down and they will collapse. It begins. Pool Boy is actually getting bullied a bit here. He's getting hammered something fierce. I like the instant replay, just showing what actually happened there. That's something we don't have the ability to do normally. That's really nice. That is really nice. I like that. And that's something I wish we could do normally. I'll have to get something to set that up. I have to look into getting that set up at least. Because yes, it looks like Benzene here on the left with his extra stable cannons there is just, he's not doing anything cheeky. He's not doing anything. I mean, to be fair, none of the players here are doing anything particularly cheeky or strange or unusual. They're just building cannons and slamming the opponents with them, and it's working. I mean, it's slowly working. Overlay seems to be stuck. Yeah, we seem to be struggling with some fairly substantial technical difficulties here. But you know what? it's got potential, and I'm liking the features that I'm seeing. It's just a little bit inconsistent, and that's fine for now. It's manageable. Oh God, that battery in the back! Look at it. It's so close to getting hit with a 20 mil. It took damage. You don't want your batteries taking damage. You can still see the Daka. Yes, yes, you can. Poor pool boy has gotten hammered quite a lot here. You can do it. Lots of damage there. Pool boy looking like he's going for the kill rather than just for as much damage as he can. Not doing much in the way of core damage. The goal there is to try to force Bensi to into an impossible scenario. By aiming for the core, he has to put all his defenses around the core, which in turn gives Pool Boy an amazing high value target. Unfortunately, Bensi is just defending as consistently as he can. I'm kind of surprised that we're not seeing a portal being placed, like a return to sender being placed there, because that would just invalidate much of that. Or maybe Bensi wants Pool Boy to aim at the core. Because that's where you can do the most consistent defenses. Oh, good damage. Bensi dealing a lot of damage to Pool Boy here. Note that because Pool Boy has built their cannons directly above the core, all the weight of the cannons is, well, being pushed above and onto the core. So as we see, any amount of support being destroyed there causes the entire base, cannons and all, to start wobbling, compared to Bensi here. Here comes a 20 mil. Ooh. Pool Boy taking hit after hit, going down to 21% HP. That's not a lot of HP left. Pool Boy is can't take that much more splash damage. You'll notice that none of the cannons actually made it to the core, but all of the damage so far has been purely splash damage. That could be devastating. So shot for shot, or sorry, DPS and damage per energy, mortars are far more cost efficient, but it doesn't matter. Bensi just has that much firepower and blows clean through Pool Boy. So we're going to check out the replay here. That's a lot of cannon fire. Alrighty then. There we have it. Alright, so next game will be at about 5 minutes from now as we get set up. It is time for lobby management. 400 something damage away from. Yeah, that was pretty close. As much as Bensi overwhelmed their opponent with a lovely final volley there, that was a pretty close match, which I suppose is unsurprising given the given how things went. Nice. Yeah, that is by far my favorite way to see a base go. Just reigning in kinetics. Just completely saturated with cannon fire. By far my favorite way to see a base go down. It's just so satisfying. It is just so very, very satisfying. Alright, and away we go to the next lobby management sim. Just hang on here, guys, as we get ourselves set up ready for the next match. Yes. Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time again. And we're off in hang time. Here we have on the left-hand side, it is Poolboy playing as the Architect Commander. They're getting themselves set up for what is likely to be a similar build order to their last match. They're facing against their opponents, der Benzinpreisvergleicher. Benzin is playing as the Warthog Commander. Warthog Commander is known for its extremely powerful heavy weapons. Owing to the empowered active ability, Warthog will be able to... in this map, I imagine it's going to be howitzers. We're going to see some thick howitzer shells doing lots and lots of damage. It's going to be a good time. Now, when it comes to the Architect build order, and I feel like I need to mention this every time we see Architect on the field, because Architect's commander ability is in double build speed, typically what we'll see is we will see Architect players not try to race toward tech or weapons, and instead what they'll do is they'll fall behind and then rely on their commander ability to bring it back, to bring themselves back in line. So they'll take the first hit or two and then just place, and then just use their commander ability to compete, to catch up. This allows them to deviate from from what would be a standard build order, instead doing things like upgrade centers and such. So it would not be surprised to see an upgrade center come out of Pool Boy here on the left. However, it does seem that both players are going for lasers. Lasers are an interesting choice here, because while lasers are typically amazing at dealing with hanging bases, because, well, you can disconnect background bracing a lot easier than with cannons. What you end up doing is trading off the raw damage output for precision, which is fine, except that you end up dealing less damage overall to your opponents. And for players as experienced as these, this gives them more room to rebuild and repair for longer durations of time. So what trends to happen is the players will simply snipe out all of each other's weapons and then have nothing to break the bases. And unless someone gets particularly greedy, it tends to trend toward longer matches, because no one has the ability to deal real damage with each other, owing to, you know, the consistent door snipes and precision snipes and removal of things. Here we have the Fire Beam, Plasma Beam. I'm kind of surprised to see the Plasma Beam firing first. Typically when you see the Plasma Beam, Fire Beam, often the Fire Beam is completed first, but that's a little bit of difference in the build order here. Little minor variations. much better positioning by the split camera team. Yeah, as I was saying, like the split camera, it's a beautiful view. It's just takes some practice with the cameraman. Like I have literally years of experience doing camera work in forts to give you guys good spectator POVs. It's just gonna take a little bit of practice. The split screen is, in my opinion, very nice. It's just gonna take a little bit for the camera work to really develop. Let's see. So right now, I'm actually kind of surprised to see not a whole lot of activity going on here. Pool Boy has developed a couple energy shields, which is expected in this context, given both players are going for laser beams. You'll notice here, Pool Boy fired once, immediately Benzene tried twice to door snipe that laser. That's just the reality of what this match is going to be. It's going to be door snipes on door snipe, and there's not going to be a whole lot of other damage going around. That's just what's going to be happening here. I am interested to see Pool Boy's swarm missiles here. The swarm missiles are a very good, or should I say a very popular choice as a supplementary weapon to lasers, just because of how good they are. Swarms have the effect of breaking energy shields. They can also be upgraded to nukes, which is... you don't need door snipes when you're Warthog and can just send 2 laser beams perfectly through the door where the doors are. Just melting through multiple layers of doors and taking out the plasma directly. That's a lot of damage. I'm kind of surprised to see Pool Boy isn't using their fire beam here. The fire beam is great for just general suppression, solving a lot of problems. Benzene has reacted to these swarm missiles by building multiple buzzsaws. He's up to 3 buzzsaws, which is a whole lot of damage. They intend to disconnect those missile launchers and the entire connection that Pool Boy has to them. Just disconnect it and keep it forever gone with an incredible amount of buzzsaw. I think they're going to succeed because that's a lot of buzzsaw. Volley 1 has failed to disconnect it, but I mean, that's a lot of buzzsaw, man. That connection is not long for this world. Oh ho ho! Pool Boy barely maintaining it. And there it is. There's the disconnect, and the laser beam cuts through. Remember when I was mentioning the laser beams are good for disconnecting background bracing? There you see it. Oh boy. Pool Boy, unfortunately, has spent a significant amount of their, well, income throughout the game on these missile launchers. And they're going to lose them to a sniper, which is a very sniper thing to do. It's just gone. It's very gone. That's just how that works. So that puts Pool Boy at a extreme disadvantage. The howitzer fires, been seen a swing and a miss. Uncharacteristic at just how far off that was. And there's the next howitzer rounds. Taken out mid-screen, taken out mid-travel. Oh, the energy shield shuts down. Pool Boy shuts down their energy shield to fire their laser. And Benzine capitalizes by door sniping it. Once again, Pool Boy loses their plasma. That's a lot of damage to take. At this point, Pool Boy's in a tough position. Pool Boy cannot replace that laser beam without taking an extreme risk. Oh, the sniper! The sniper itself playing anti-air, taking out the howitzer shell. So Pool Boy is actually down to 19% cord. They can't take more splash damage. The plasma beam, the laser itself, it does a lot of splash damage when it dies. Like, it explodes violently. And what's happening here is every time it gets door sniped or destroyed for any reason, really, Pool Boy is taking damage on their core. This has happened enough times that if a plasma beam were to detonate one more time in their base, their core goes with it. Like, they cannot take any more damage on their core for any reason. It's putting Pool Boy in a particularly difficult position because they do not have a plasma and they cannot replace the plasma in its weapon slot without just risking losing the game, because the next time they get door sniped, it's over. It just ends. So Benzine is literally just door sniping Pool Boy out of the game right now. And this is what laser matches tend to look like, where it's door snipe after door snipe after door snipe, and the bases themselves tend to not take catastrophic damage. We do see oh, that's an empowered howitzer. Oh, and it makes it. Howitzer, on the other hand, dealing catastrophic damage, completely chunking parts of the base. Is that it? Oh, that's it. Empowered howitzer, double fire beam, double plasma, all empowered, just cuts through Pool Boy's defenses. Benzine slams through Pool Boy and ends it right there. Is this a pre-recorded video? No. This is live. I do not have camera control, but this is live. It's happening right here, right now. Beautiful shots. Hot, yeah, that was a lot of damage is what that was. That was a lot of damage. Well done, Benzi, winning yet another round in this best of 5. That's 2 rounds. Alright, we can expect the next match to be in about 4 minutes. Checking out the replay here to see that ending volley. We have commander bans coming up, and then we'll be jumping into it. I had this scripted with chat says given to me in advance to record this. Absolutely. Don't you know that I'm an AI that can predict everyone's messages? That's how AI works, right? All right. You love the big boat fights. They are very satisfying. The battleship matches are, when played well by, experienced teams, incredibly satisfying to watch. It's a peak fort, I would say. We're spectating a shoutcast from Zeltzvak? Yes, yes we are. And we're starting off once again. Is Confrontational the name of the tournament? Yes, yes it is. So we have on the left-hand side, it's the Benzin Preisvergleiter, playing as the Scattershot commander. Facing off against their opponents, it's Pool Boy playing as Spook. These are very, very different commanders. And, well, this is going to change how things work out. So, Scattershot fundamentally changes the way in which the 20mm function. It turns them into shotguns. So basically, when we see Scattershot, what ends up happening is we see 20mm spam come out from the Scattershot commander. Slam their opponent constantly with 20mm, which in truth doesn't do a whole lot of damage. But then what we see is we activate the commander ability for Scattershot, and suddenly all those 20mm become shotguns, which deal a lot of damage and focuses it pretty nicely. So you go from 20mm dealing just general damage, kind of sort of splashing all over the place, to, oh my god, you're dead in one round, and just real quick. Compare this to the Spook commander, which has a couple different traits of it that are interesting. The most well-known trait is that it literally just allows you to see into your opponent's base. The spectator view that we have now, during Spook's commander active, they get to see what the spectator sees. It's just everything. The other thing that they do is they get to see a constant view of the opponent's resources. So you see on the bottom corners of the screen how we can see metal and energy. That's what Pool Boy sees at all points in time. So it's it's a lot of information. Now, the reason we don't see that mentioned so much at the higher tier plays because all that information is, generally speaking, publicly available anyways. If you know what you're looking for, you know how much resources your opponents have gathered, and you can see generally what builds is being done and where they have their weapon placements, where they have their tech placements and such. So you really don't need the explicit spectator view. Basic scouting for the experienced players sees this. So what makes Spook interesting to the higher tier players is their active ability, which just straight steals money out of the opponent's bank. It steals 1,000. It steals what is it? 100 metal and 1,000 energy, and then you just spam that as much as possible and steal money from them. It's like hitting them with a cannon shell every time you hit. It's like free damage every time you activate the commander act. You just constantly activate it, and because players tend to operate at the maximum amount of income that they have, they will be regularly not rich. You see, like Benzine here never has more than 1,000, rarely has more than 1,000 energy unless he's, saving it for something. So if oh hey, I got 5,000 energy, which is exactly the amount I need to fire my laser beam, I'm gonna fire my laser beam, and then Poolboy says, nope, I'm gonna steal your energy out of your batteries. And then suddenly Benzine, mid-plasma burst, no longer has the energy to fire the plasma beam and just kills it off right there. It's dead. Which is just obnoxious, because then you've paid money to fire your weapon, and then it doesn't properly fire because your opponent stole the energy to fire the weapon, which is a very Spook thing to do. So that's relevant. Where does the energy go? Pool doesn't have a place to put it. Into the Ethereum. Into the Immaterium. It's gone. Stolen. Wasted. Destroyed. Also, I do want to say shout out to the member in chat there, Anati Epsor, one of the hosts, putting on this lovely show for us here. They're handling much of the cat herding, much of the management of the actual technical side of things here, and that's what's letting us get this beautiful view with the split screen and all these other good stuffs. So shout out to Epsor here. We do actually see some fairly similar builds here. I am incredibly surprised that Benzine is going for standard cannons rather than 20 mils. I don't know why this is the case, other than we're playing on hill forts, and the center hill is kind of obnoxious for cannons. So this is hill forts. We've seen this map many, many times. The hill is a problem because it prevents direct fire shots pretty much through the entire map. The only way to get around that is to build up and above, like way above the core, as we see the players doing here, to the points where their forts are literally have blinking struts on them. And then fire from above down into the core. So that's what we're going to be seeing here. And this is, well, the consequence of that. 20 mils are not good at shooting over the hill because they are so imprecise that half their shots land on the hill. So I'm not terribly surprised to see no 20 millimeters used, but it just makes me question why Benzine went for Scattershot if they intended to not use 20 mils. So that's a decision. We notice the cameraman pointing out there that Benzine has 2 cannons completed but cannot fire them because the doors are not open, or at least they're still hard walled off by lots of wood spam. So Benzine is not ready to fire those cannons and is only just now preparing to do so. On the other side, Poolboy is ready to fire their cannons and has elected not to do so yet. So we have another, 8-minute no-rush game here, where both players are, well, they win Upgrade Center, And max eco. Oh, 7.5 minutes. We have the first cannon shell fired. Pool boy gets aggressive. Benzene is in the process of opening their doors and enabling their cannons to fire. This will allow Benzene to reply in kind very shortly. Did Benzene know about the map before Commander Spec? Yes. All maps were public knowledge, and the order in which they were played, and is visible on the lobby screen, like is displayed in his face before the match starts. Like he knows. I mean, he had the option to know. Whether or not he paid attention, I don't know. But he did purposefully choose this commander on this map. Does Scattershot do anything for non-20mm weapons? Yes, it makes them less precise. Which is a decision. It's not that big of a problem. It's going to meaningfully affect door snipes, but it's not going to be... It's not a significant issue. And we have commander ability active. We'll get to see that 20mm. 20mm shotgun, which will reveal the Scattershot choice, which Pool Boy is probably somewhat confused by, as we have cannon after wow, that perfectly aimed, hitting all that tiny door segment, but it's tiny doors, so it could take it. That's 3 cannon shells directly to the same small bit of bracing. As the cannons are singing, Pool Boy replying. Surprised no tier 3s? I'm not. Tier 3s are not a strong weapon. We do see a 20mm out of Pool Boy. You door snipe. Benzene loses their 20mm. Cannons shall fly. Drop shotting the turbines, which is hilarious. You don't see that every day. I do want to shout out to the triple layered energy shields. A much more popular strat at the upper tier these days. You love to see it. It's very good. It just hard stops cannons. It's not cost efficient, but it does stop the cannons, and and cost inefficient defense is worth it when it comes to your energy production, because otherwise you don't get energy production. Like at all. Oh boy. Let's get a little bit wobbly. With Benz, you could see him going tier 3 just because tier 3 is not a bad weapon, it's just not a good weapon. And when you're dealing with these competitive matches like confrontationals, you generally don't want weapons that are not good weapons, you know? Like you can't go with the mediocre ones. Oh, that's some damage. Pool Boy, unable to keep up with the defenses, gets penetrated, taking massive amounts of damage. And by that I mean they just lost their turbines, which are replaceable, but will put Pool Boy onto the back foot for a time, because that will prevent Pool Boy from sustaining their energy shields. Will also prevent Pool Boy from rearming their cannons. Oh, it's getting worse. Love seeing that shot on the the 20 mil there, just dropping in through the turbine row onto the 20 mil. Doing a little bit of splash damage. Pool Boy's core taking some secondary damage, or some damage from the secondary explosion. It's just cannon after cannon after cannon. You love to see it. Oh man, Pool Boy's gonna do it. Pool Boy, you're mad, lad. This will be visible to Benzine. Like, tier 3s are not stealthy creatures. Benzine is going to suffer somewhat from this if Pool Boy can pull this off. Well, just because it's very difficult to defend against tier 3s when you also have to defend against standard cannons. And the reason for that is, if you may notice, Benzine's base is already struggling to carry its weight. He's got so many defenses against the standard cannons that any additional weight is just unacceptable. And he needs all of those defenses just to maintain his life here. You may notice that Benzine is not at all defended against tier 3s. Well, let me rephrase. Is not strongly defended against tier 3s. So they really have very limited wiggle room within the structural stability department of their fort to add additional defenses against tier 3s. And if they don't, then they're just going to suffer the ire of the tier 3, which is likely to be the case here. They'll likely do a little bit of defense, I imagine, directly on top of the cannon, the topmost cannon, and then just kind of nowhere else, and accept that the tier 3 can hit them in weird places. Because the alternative is to, well, risk collapsing their base. Actually kind of surprised neither player has managed to wipe out the other yet. We're sitting on 3 and 4 cannons here, which is a lot of cannons. That's a whole heap load of damage every volley, which definitely hard to upkeep that kind of damage output. Like, repairing that is not easy. A question from chat. What's the flashing lights in Benzine's Eco? That's the flashing of the warning saying that their base, that particular part of the base, is about to collapse from stress. As in, they have so much weight on that physics is saying no. Gravity is strong. Oh, that's a lot of damage. Oh, this is bad for Pool Boy here. Pool Boy, can you even repair that in time? No, like, you can't repair that in time. Those cannons are going to come off cooldown before you finish constructing. Okay, so Pool Boy has to sell off his cannon. That means this tier 3 is just about Pool Boy's last hope. And Benzine, I do not see a spot on Benzine's base where this tier 3 can deal lethal damage. It can deal good damage, but not lethal damage, I think. And oh no, that's a swing and a miss. Pool Boy's tier 3 goes off the side of the map. He needs to reel it in a bit. So Pool Boys had a bit of a rough time here. They've quickly reconstructed as much of their base as they could. Another volley is about to come flying down into them. Pool Boy's turbine row is currently blocked off with panic wood spam. We'll see if Pool Boy recognizes and fixes that. Does the tier 3 come down in a good place? We can see here, based on the way Pool Boy is building and reacting to things, that their APM is stressed. They're not properly aiming their weapons, nor are they properly reconstructing in a way that is sustainable. They're trying to get their base rebuilt as quickly as possible, and not properly rebuilding it in an efficient manner. This will harm them in the long run, but will keep them alive for now, and is just an indicator that they're having a rough time out there, because there is a lot to do on these bases. The tier 3, again, it's still flying off the map. This is not a particularly large map. The tier 3 needs to be aimed closer in so it stops going off the map and at least threatens the opponent. So that's 3 cannon rounds from the tier 3, and not even a threat to the opponent here. I believe they refired last position, so this one is also likely to not hit. It's likely to miss the entire map, more precisely. Pool Boy is changing tactics here slightly, going with the howitzer. The howitzer, probably the most commonly used weapon to end the game on this map, just because of how strong it is. It deals a lot of damage. And with the relative closeness of the map, the howitzer often makes it across. Oh! A door snipe. That did a lot. Not only did that bring Benzine down to 60% cord, which is a lot of damage, but that deformed the innards of their base. Benzine relying on some pretty serious stability tech. Again, Pool Boy loses their turbines. Yeah, I hate to see it. Oh boy. I'm just surprised both players are alive here right now. It's been swinging back and forth. I'm surprised hasn't built any buzzsaws. Yeah, me as well. Benson, I know especially, is fond of their buzzsaws. I'm a little surprised to not see buzzsaws out of either player. Buzzsaws are typically quite prevalent on this map, mostly owing to the fact that players have to build up a lot. You have to rely heavily on tall structures in this map because of the way that... because of the hill in the middle of the fort. And because you require tall structures, wood is very, very prevalent. And thus, buzzsaws, very, very prevalent. So it's a little surprising to me that I don't see any from either side. Oh god, the drop shot. Oh, it's so devastating. Pool Boy is now all in on his one howitzer and tier 3. Because he's got nothing else. A solid hit. Benzine face tanks it with what is effectively a howitzer stopper. So no significant damage received, but that will cause Benzine to react. I'm a little surprised that caught Benzine by surprise. Like, that clearly caught Benzine by surprise. And he's now building proper anti-howitzer tech here. God, the 20 mil dealing great damage from above, coming down from on high. Ooh, that single cannon round took out 2 energy shields. That's not the world you want to be living in. Oh, is that it? Yes. Benzine wins this round, going 3-0 and getting this in their match against Pool Boy. Pool Boy knocked out of the quarterfinals as knocked out of the semifinals as Benzine moves on to the finals. A cannon round penning the defenses and taking out a howitzer, causing secondary explosions and taking the entire fort down with it. That was a really cool effect. I like that. Very, very well done. Well done, Benzine. Good showing, good showing. That's a thumbnail pick for sure. Is good. It's the smoothness of the replays. I've said this many times. The replay, the explosions in forts are incredibly satisfying. They are incredibly satisfying. It's like it's unmatched. Like I don't see other games that are quite so good at doing explosions. So what we get is this incredibly satisfying experience that is just top, and it's nice is what it is. The replays are amazing. Especially if you're allowed to get the slow-mo. Oh, haha, yes. And so it makes it such a good spectator sport, yeah? But next up we got Gold versus Eaton. I know who I'm voting for, if only because he's the only American on the board right now. Eaton. Unironically, though, I do anticipate Eaton will be winning this semifinal as well as the grand final. Not because I have a bias or anything, but because Eaton has consistently outclassed pretty much everyone. Which is surprising, as Forts is a rather skill-oriented game. As much as there are heavy RNG elements at times, the better player tends to win much, much more often than the, well, less experienced player. So it is strange to me that a player such as Eaton exists who performs at such a higher degree that they near consistently win every match every time. It's like, what is going on here? Yeah, I would think there would be another player who would compete at a similar level as Eaton does, but Eaton just wins. That's all there is to it. It's just performs better. Most tourneys should just be named another medal for Eaton. I mean, man's collected an incredible amount of medals. He deserves it. So I do very, very much so enjoy watching Eaton. He's good at the game. He's satisfying to watch. And, well, I can always learn something. Even if the thing is click more faster. Because there's a fairly strong amount of that going on here when it comes to Eaton. It's like having Bobby Fischer do high school chess club. A little bit. Eaton being so good makes you cheer for the underdog. Hey, you know, that is another fun thing. When you have a player, people like to cheer for the underdog, and when Eaton is involved, everyone is the underdog. Everyone else is the underdog. So Eaton does make for some enjoyable matches, if only to vote for the person who is attempting to take down the big guy himself. Alright, we're working on bans right now. Picks and bans. That's vanilla just banned? Okay. I'm surprised to see that. Only a little bit though. Has anyone else pulled the Eaton Balls core swing in tournaments aside from him? In tournaments, no. Players do not swing in tournaments. That's not a thing outside of like meme matches. Like, oh, we're doing the third place match. No one cares. We're here to have fun. Just do a core swing. Outside of that, no. Kudos to whoever built the overlay. It looks so professional. Yes, I believe it was Aska? I forget who specifically made it. That is a question that we could probably ask. Epsor here, actually, if they know who made the overlay themselves, because it does look, it is very good. It looks very good. Alright. Ledge grab has been banned. We're up to Abyss, Balls, Desert Ruins, Hang Time, and Stalactites. The next match should begin in about 5 minutes. Yes. Oh. You're a 1.5-month husky, a 1.5-month-old husky puppy has decided is now nap on your lap time. You have no say in this matter. I understand. That's just what's happening now. See, on the balls core swing, I haven't seen that pretty much in any match really, outside of that one. Like that particular core swing was never truly used in matches, to my knowledge. Like I've never seen it used in matches. It was one of those theoretical things that was practiced by a few scientists just to see if it could be done, and was never truly utilized as a core swing. It's just that difficult to pull off, that inconsistent. So that is most of why it was such a big thing in when Eaton did it in a tournament and then won with it, which is just as impressive. It's amazing Eaton doesn't have more asymmetrical matchups. People he does better or worse against, depending on playstyles. Yeah, you see, that's that's what I'm surprised about. Like, he's just consistently an entire caliber above everyone else. It's like, what? This is not normal. Practiced by a few scientists? Like, how many? All 42 of them? Yes. Oh, Lord. The insane thing about that match is not just the core swing, but that Eaton still almost lost to Mateo's laser aim. I mean, Helicopter's got some great aim. I mean, there's a reason we meme about it. Man doesn't miss, like, almost ever. It's impressive. And he almost took out Eaton's core, despite his core being almost behind the ball itself. And it's like, dude, like, he got his core touched. It was ridiculous. right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are off. Here we have our next match. It's Gold versus Eaton. Eaton playing as the Seep commander will be facing off against their opponents. Gold playing as the Architect commander. So Eaton just by picking the Seep commander immediately reveals their strategy. And on this map is not a surprise. This map missiles are kind of strong. So we'll get to see how that plays out here. They're going to be I think I should start by describing Gold here, because Gold is playing the Architect commander. God, the single line efficiency. Like, you could tell it's an Eaton base because he uses a single massive line of struts just dangling to connect to a mine in the furthest corner. Is this man starting with an upgrade center in a missile rush build? Okay, I haven't seen this before. You know, I wanted to talk about Gold because it's just real easy to explain what that matchup is gonna go down, is how it's gonna happen from Gold's perspective. But this man fully placed an upgrade center before placing a workshop in a missile rush build. I have seen this like single-digit amount of times before. Okay. It's fine. Gold's is playing it relatively slow, relatively stable, relatively standard. The playing Architect, they don't need to rush because they have the Architect ability, which means they can catch up at any point in time after taking the first hit. Real simple. Architect also, with its ability to wood spam, because it gets cheaper wood, can play defensively and is especially effective against missile builds, because wood spam is incredibly effective against nukes, as you could do spaced armor as well as swarm missiles, just because swarm missiles are not good at breaking bases and wood is, well, an important part of your base. So Architect often has the advantage against the Seep in the Seep matchup, which would put Gold at the advantage if it wasn't for Eaton being Eaton. Now, Eaton is not going for missile rushes, which is I've said this many times. The reason we do missile rushes, like nuke rushes, is because the alternative is to do a nice, slow missile build, at which point you're equally as effective as just doing a standard heavy weapons build, if not less effective than just doing a standard heavy weapons build, because the swarm missile and nuke just is not as consistent, is not as effective as literally just going heavy weapons. So we've seen this many times before and has a relatively low success rate of players who go for upgraded mines and sometimes upgraded turbines before going nuke. This inevitably delays them to the point where they could have gotten proper heavy weapons in the same time as to get their nukes out, which is the world in which Eaton is going to be living, because he's getting upgraded eco before. He's investing heavily into these eco upgrades before going nukes. And this is where we're at right now. I'm surprised to see Eaton doing this, but it is what Eaton has chosen to do, and I'm curious to see how it plays out. We notice it is cannon o'clock in the next starting now, and Eaton does not have a nuke available and ready to launch. This is expected given this build order. So Gold at this point basically needs to be focusing on map control and preventing the inevitable nuke from landing. This is something that gold can do, or at least has the option to do. Eaton, on the other hand, needs to do everything they can do to prevent that outcome, which means lots of map control. We're seeing multiple snipers being placed by Eaton. There's a buzzsaw available, ready to be used. Likely to see additional weapons, perhaps another machine gunner, and to be upgraded into a mini gunner. Another buzzsaw. I doubt we'll see a third sniper. We might see double nuke. Probably see double nuke because double nuke is strong. Is the over-under on Eaton self-destructor here? Nah. Not on this map. Some maps is a threat, not this one. Lasers. Really, Eaton going laser tech. I'm surprised to see that. That means that Eaton is basically already committing to transitioning out of missiles, which I think is worth it. Is probably the right decision. I'm surprised to see that it's laser tech specifically and not howitzers. But the transition, I think, is a good idea. It is time to nuke. Eaton does not quite have the energy production to launch the nukes. We'll take another minute or so before that kicks in, but it should be ready to go here in a minute. By minute, I mean closer to 15 seconds. I believe gold will actually be firing first. Note that it is 7:30 on the clock, so it's not no one's done any kind of rushing here, which not a surprise, not a surprise at all. But gold actually fires first, and nearly takes out Eaton with the firebeam plasma beam. I am very surprised that gold has not even attempted to. Not even attempted to get map control here, which is, I'm going to say, is just a mistake. We do see those minigunners coming out from Eaton. This I did expect. Ricocheting the sniper off wood to get that shot. You don't see that every day. Nuke lands once again. Miniguns coming in to perforate the remains. Okay. Oh, the miniguns ricocheting and hitting the internal tech. Gold's taking a lot of damage there. Gold immediately trying to use the plasma beam as anti-air. I don't, like, you gotta do a little bit more map control, man. Like, you can't let an opponent just shoot nukes at you without trying to prevent it. The flak distracted, nuke lands. The nuke has consistently been slamming into the furthest most points of gold's base, which is the ideal place from gold's perspective, because it's the most amount of damage that gold can take. A little slow on the reflexes there. Gold doesn't quite hit the nuke with the laser. Oh god, he gets the second tech as well. Oh no. Well, those miniguns, that alone has made those miniguns worthwhile. If that keeps up, those miniguns may actually take the core. Like, that core is not safe from those miniguns. Not safe at all. Flak takes out the nuke. Remember that Seep's passive ability, or Seep's ability, is nuke split into swarm missiles. So even when the nuke is defeated, it just becomes swarm missiles, as we saw some swarm missiles sent into the nuke from there. That is such a rough position to be for Gold. Gold has been reset to the Dark Ages, needs to rebuild their tier 1 tech before they can even do anything with new weaponry. The finest abusive game mechanics you've ever seen. I mean, this is, I mean, it is what it is. It happens to everyone. It is preventable. This is something that Gold can stop pretty much at any time by, you know, putting another piece of slanted armor there. It's just they're not doing it. Likely because they don't have the money. Because they keep taking a lot of damage. A lot of damage. Okay. Here it comes. Oh, man. That nuke. It just keeps landing on the one place where it deals the least amount of damage. Oh, boy. Nope, nuke defeated, swarms impact. So Gold is investing pretty substantially into anti-air now, which is good. Eaton, on the other hand, has invested into laser tech and has a plasma beam under construction. Look at that. The Duke gets close, but there's a lot of flak now on the field. Gold is able to maintain. Oh. Sniper from Gold takes out a buzzsaw. Well done. Some fire from below. Eaton loses a fire beam. Takes damage on the plasma. It does reveal the plasma's position if Gold did not know about it already. That's so much flak. It's much needed flak. But it's a lot of flak nonetheless. I'm trying to guess what the follow-ups here are. Gold is focusing extremely on anti-nuke defenses. It is continuing to fire the plasma and laser beam combo at Eaton's weapons. I think Gold at this point is just trying to suppress Eaton out of the game, which is not a bad strategy. Not a bad strategy at all. It's just not a fast strategy. Eaton, on the other hand, is trying to get up to laser tech to bring a fire beam and plasma beam combo to bear against gold. A solid hit. Gold's doors are open around that beam, and it is now hardwalled. An upgraded mortar? An upgraded mortar? So Eaton has one mortar, which I presumed was just going to be used for anti-air bait, but he's upgraded the thing, which is expensive for anti-air bait. Oh, a door snipe. Gold loses their last heavy weapon. Luckily for Gold, they just finished reconstruction of their laser technology. So they will be able to replace it, but that's a lot of damage dealt. Because that's, lasers are expensive. It's 1,000 metal. Gold's currently sitting on 200 metal, which is not 1,000 metal. So it's going to be a second or several before Gold can actually replace it, but at least they have the technology to do so now. Wow, that's a complete shutdown. Gold has enough anti-air to defeat 2 swarm missiles and the nuke. Or rather, a swarm missile, a nuke, and then the swarm missile from the nuke. Buzzsaw is disconnecting Gold's lower, appendage. And with that lower appendage, a chunk of anti-air falls. Gold successfully replaces their plasma beam. It is starting construction right now, so it will be a bit before it comes online, but it has successfully started reconstruction. The nuke lands once again in the same spot. Laser beam penetrates. Eaton over-penetrates Gold's base, hitting nothing. It is worth noting that Gold does have 6 upgraded mines compared to Eaton's 4. So Gold does have substantially stronger income than Eaton does. But Eaton, just kind of winning on the damage output front with a plasma, 2 fire beams, a swarm missile, and a nuke. The swarm missile and a nuke have not been incredibly cost efficient, but they are applying pressure, and they are doing damage, even if that damage is only forcing Gold to expend money on flak. Although that was a hefty chunk of damage right there in terms of just splash everywhere, igniting everything. More importantly, Eaton snipes out a mine. Just straight hard penetrating through Gold's defenses and removing 1 mine in the process. That's going to set Gold down to 5 mines, bringing them closer to Eaton's eco. Nuke lands once again, but is caught detonating in the middle of the open, just dealing a small amount of splash damage to a few inconsequential struts. The fire beam keeping on top of Gold. This is what the fire beams are good at. Sniping out weapons which are still under construction. Although Eaton is primarily using them as cover against Gold's anti-air, allowing the swarm missiles and sometimes the nuke to get close. The fire beams have this primary role, typically, is preventing the opponents from building things and having things. Which we are seeing a little bit of that going on here. The nuke lands, chunking off all of the sand in front of Gold's base. Quick and easy to repair. That sand is not expensive, nor is it difficult to replace. However, replacing it does take a moment, and a moment gold does not have. Fire beam, plasma beam follow-up, and gold falls. Eaton breaking through with 103,000 damage dealt. Oh boy, that is a lot of damage. And not at all surprising in this context. Kaboom. Five times the damage? Yeah. I mean, gold was on the back for that whole game. They really didn't have a whole lot of control over the map. Once they lost map control early on, that was just kind of it. And they didn't compete until it was kind of too late. And at that point, Eaton had basically already wiped the floor. Like, taking control and was just pummeling gold for an extensive period of time. Very well played. Eaton wins round 1. Alright. Currently doing a bit of lobby management as we're working toward the next round. Round 2 in this best of 5. Next map will be Hang Time. Remember, if you guys like this kind of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to hit that follow button. Make sure to hit that like button. All the interaction buttons, because those are the things that make us keep us going around here. Kalijah, I did see your notification here come through. I don't see it on Streamlabs. Why is Streamlabs has been having issues recently with that kind of thing. I was waiting to see if I could replay it. It looks like I can't because Streamlabs is having issues. See if I can get it. Yeah, it's not. It didn't register whatsoever. I'll have to look into that. But we're off to the next round. So let's jump into the action. I'm going to say before we get started, shout out to Kalijah coming in with the nuclear launch. Can we get some love in chat for Kalijah showing that support and keeping it going, yeah? As we're off to round 2, here we have Gold versus Eaton. Here on the left-hand side, it's Gold. Playing as the Pinchfist commander. Pinchfist commander, the Pinnacle Rush commander. Things for going fast and getting heavy weapons out on the field before anyone else. This is what Pinchfist does best. Looks like he's actually starting with a sniper as well. Definitely doesn't... I think he doesn't want to get left behind in the map control... department. Eaton, on the other hand, playing as the Scattershot commander. The commander best known for 20mm spam. Now, I do want to point a little bit of perspective here on the build orders. Eaton just finished their Tier 1 tech. Gold is halfway completed with their Tier 2 tech, which is a pretty substantial difference in the tech progression speed here. Like, we're gonna see the heavy weapons out of gold at a Pinchfist timing, which is very, very fast. Eaton, on the other hand, taking things a little bit more, I'm gonna say standard like. It is a heavy weapons rush, but it's not a Pinchfist rush. It's just going nice and relaxed. We see a sniper coming out of Eaton here. Gold has just placed their first plasma, so they're going to be ready for the cannon o'clock timing. Eaton, on the other hand, a little bit delayed, doesn't have a place to put a 20mm yet. Well, punishing gold pretty heavy. A single buzzsaw just dropped the plasma beam. Because gold is being particularly greedy with their rush, they were unprepared for a buzzsaw. They sold off every single piece of metal on their fort, leaving the 20mm undefended from such buzzsaw punishments. And so they lost their weapon. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Continued buzzsaw firings takes out some turbines from gold and temporarily disconnects their rear mines, which is not the world gold particularly wants to live in, but is the world they now experience. There are 2 20mm in production by Eaton. This means that Eaton's just ahead of gold now. That's it. Gold does successfully replace their plasma and is partially defended against buzzsaws. Yeah, that's effectively full defended against buzzsaws at this point. It's just that's painful. Eaton firing the first volley, the 20mm splashing some damage around gold's base. Buzzsaw flies, but gold is defended against it at this stage of the game. Gold is struggling. They're down to a single turbine. They have fewer mines than Eaton. They have a single plasma under construction. It's about halfway complete. Eaton is sitting on 2 20mm, and a third one is 3/4 of the way completed. Gold went from, I'm not going to call it cheesy, but went from a very, very greedy rush to a point where it was pushing definition of cheese with that degree of rush. And Eaton punished him for it. That's all there is to it. And that's put gold pretty far behind. Now, gold is not out of the game. They have reasonable eco, not quite as good as Eaton's eco. They have working defenses. You can see here taking the hits. But Eaton's looking to punish further. And the third volley before the shield comes up? Nope, the shield comes up. Alright, well. Gold loses another mine, bringing them down to 4 mines to Eaton's 6. But Gold is alive. Gold is alive. Gold's plasma comes off, is now available to fire. Eaton has been a bit greedy here. Eaton has not double-doored any of their weapons. Gold should know this, and is likely able to capitalize on this by firing anything, anywhere, against any of the weapons. Eaton is actively double-dooring. They have an energy shield. Looks like Gold tried to go to the core. Almost got it, except that Eaton has an energy shield in front of the core, so that keeps him alive. Eaton now officially has double doors. All 3 20 mils firing, doing some notable damage. Eaton is technically not full defended against the plasma beam. The plasma beam can go clean through. Nope, just full defended against it. Okay, Eaton is now full defended against a single plasma beam. Very well done. That's going to put Gold in a rough position because plasma beams don't deal a whole lot of direct damage, so it's pretty easy to full defend against them, and do so without having to spend a lot of resources. Gold, it just means that Gold cannot rely on the plasma beam to break his opponent. He has to do door snipes with it, else he just will not get enough damage onto the field in order to, you know, slow Eaton down or really do anything. So at this point, Gold is going to be basically hanging on to their weapon, waiting for those 20s to fire, and then replying, hoping to get it to lands. Does he get it? Doesn't fire this time. Commander active for Eaton. That means we're going to see Scattershot shotguns coming out here. And misses the door snipe. Partially hits the doors, but still doesn't get clean through the doors. I'm trying to think. Like, you can't count Gold out because they have a plasma beam, and 20 mils are quite susceptible to door sniping. So this is not over for Gold. It's just Gold is in a really, really rough position here. What I think is going to happen is Eaton's just get a 20mm volley, and Gold is going to collapse, and that's just it. I mean, I guess. I wouldn't have done that, but I guess. Sure, why not? Here comes the volley. And that's about as much damage as you'd expect from a 20 mil. The plasma is unable to fire because the doors are being repaired, so it can't punish Eaton for using his weapons. So Eaton has brought the miniguns out, which is not a surprise, but the miniguns will basically ruin Gold's hope of defending, because Gold's was defending primarily with, that's it. As I was saying, Gold was defending primarily with sandbags. Sandbags stop 20 mils pretty well, but they fall to plasma. They fall to miniguns. And so once the miniguns came out and cleared the sandbags, there was just nothing Nothing stopping the 20s from cleaning all the way through the defenses and just touching the core, and that's it. And there you have it. A beautiful combo shot. Minigun into shotgun 20s. And it's over. Clean elimination. Alright, we're back to setting the lobbies up. Give us about 2 minutes and we'll jump into the next round. So that is 2 rounds in favor of Eaton. That means it is now match point for Eaton, as it is 2-0 in this best of 5. Gold has to win the next 3 rounds, or they are eliminated from this tournament. Eaton has to win 1 of the next 3 rounds in order to proceed to the finals. Here we go. Alright, looks like Architect and Spook are bound, coming up in this next match. As we are in moorings and getting set up. Alright, we're jumping into it. Welcome to round 3 in this best of 5. As here we have on the left-hand side, oh no, Eaton with the Pinchfist playing against their opponent, Gold with Phantom. So this is going to be interesting. I mean, if you can't beat him in a straight-up fight, I don't see why you shouldn't go cheesy with it. Gold is gonna. This is the sniper build. This is the triple AP sniper build, I think. Out of Gold here, and Eaton is 100% by default going to fall for this. Eaton is playing Pinchfist. Pinchfist is the commander that specializes in removing every part of their fort, of their base, in exchange for getting more of, well, everything. More tech, more weapons. And that means the metal in front of Eaton's base getting sold off like 100% of the time. Unless Eaton is just the god of prediction. Okay, he's not. Like, that's it. He just sold it, which means Eaton is now vulnerable to this cheese strat that Gold is going to be fielding. Gold is going to be getting, it looks like 4 AP snipers and just volleying, just bringing Eaton's core down in the next 30 seconds. They're using fake mines, decoy mines, to convince Eaton that he's not doing this strat, and Eaton is not going to be prepared for this. Oh, you can't miss like that. Dude, that's 3 misses. He hits 1. He misses another one. He misses another one. And that's it. That's it. It's over. Gold just missed. He got 6 shots off, which is enough to eliminate the core, and just missed. And that's it. Like, there's nothing else for it. Okay. I don't... Eaton was going for a missile rush strat. A Pinchfist missile rush strat, which is a pretty good start. Now Eaton, I don't know if this is a transition into mortars or just using mortars to take advantage of this, because the AP sniper strat requires you to not have economy. As we see here, Gold was sitting on 2 mines for most of that, and only just now got his 3rd mine. Which means Eaton's sitting on 5 mines and weapons and energy, and he could just do early game suppression tactics and bully Gold out of the game. And that's what he's gonna do. He's upgrading mortars. He's got an incendiary mortar. He's got 4 mortars, a nuke, a sniper, and an MG on the field, and he's just gonna shoot Gold until the Gold is gone. Even if Gold defends everything that's happening, that's about to be sending against his way, which is not going to happen, by the way. Like, Gold is not gonna survive the first couple volleys here, at least once the nuke comes out. But if Gold does manage to survive, all he's doing is putting himself against an opponent. He's got twice the income. It's the sniper rush strat. It's an all-in cheese. You don't recover from this. It just doesn't happen. And Eaton was vulnerable to it. He just missed. It's so painful to watch. Like, that was so many misses. It's painful, man. It hurts my soul. Like, I had hope. There was no better condition Gold could have asked for. Eaton was playing Pinchfist, sold off just about everything he could have sold off, and here we are. Going up to 6 mortars now. The mortars may end this before the nuke even arrives. The nuke is ready to fire. Eaton doesn't have the energy for it, which is not a surprise. But with the commander active, getting half-cost firing, he's able to afford the nuke, and out it comes. No remaining anti-air. Oh, uses a buzzsaw to take out the nuke. Well done on Gold's part. The mortars tickle the core once more. Core exposed. Snipers falling. Eaton winning the sniper duel multiple times over, with Gold having still 1 sniper remaining. Here it comes. The core was exposed and the nuke slammed straight into it, and that's it. Eaton wins. Like, that's it. They tried the cheese and it didn't succeed, and so Eaton capitalizes and just, it's over. And there you have it. Eaton wins 3-0 against Gold in the semifinal. Moving on to the finals, the grand final, to face off against their opponent, Bensi. So the final will be Bensi versus Eaton, which is going to be nice. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. That's a good time all around. Alright, well, if you guys like this kind of content, make sure to hit that follow button. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, because we got more content like this coming out every single week, multiple times a week, actually. In fact, the grand finals will be happening next week, at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. It's around 6 to 7 o'clock in the EU time zones. And I'm very, very much so looking forward to those. All right. Well, that was exciting. Let's see, we got a replay here. Checking out some key moments. My God, it's beautiful. Like, I don't... The cheese, man. I was so excited. I was so excited about the cheese. It was so close. It was so pretty. Oh, no. Like, it was well executed right up until the point where they had to fire the weapons. And then it just didn't. Like, I understand it's hard to cycle weapons that quickly and be accurate, but my God, it hurts to see. So I'm liking. I do like the split screen. I think the camera could be handled with a bit more experience. That's just gonna come with practice. But this is a feature I've been liking. Look at that. That's 2 misses, 3 misses. That's a hit. 5 misses. Misses 5 times. The 6th one was too late. It was never going to hit. But that's 5 missed shots. It's so painful. It's so very painful to see. Alas. That is going to be it for this one, guys. Make sure to check back next week at the same time because, well, we have the finals coming up then. It'll be Bensi versus Eaton. But for now, have a good night, everyone. And I'll see you guys later.